My name is Stella, and I'm a 32 years old trauma therapist in Boston. 7 years ago, on the night of my 25th birthday, my life changed forever. My stepfather, Marcus, a man who had terrorized our family for over a decade, broke into my apartment in a drunken rage. As he dislocated my shoulder and I collapsed to the floor, my mother just stood there, watching. Before we go on, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a free way to support my work and help me share emotional stories like this one. My childhood was peaceful until I was 8, when my biological father died from aggressive lung cancer. For 4 years, it was just my mother, Carol, and me. She worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, and our bond grew stronger through the hardship. Everything changed when I turned 12. Mo met Marcus at the bank where she worked. He was a branch manager, a seemingly respectable man with a steady job and financially stability. At first, he was charming and attentive, often including me in their outing. After 6 months, they married when I was 13, and he moved us into his spacious colonial house. The changes were subtle at first. Marcus insisted on managing all the finances, convincing Mom to close her personal bank account. He had logical explanation for everything, and Mom, desperate for security, agreed. Then one by one, he started having opinions about her friends. Mom's social circle shrank, and she became withdrawn. The woman who once sang while cooking now moved silently around the kitchen, checking with Marcus before making any purchase. She stopped wearing the bright red lipstick she had always loved. The first time I saw his anger, I was 14. Mom had bought a simple sundress without consulting him, and Marcus exploded. He didn't hit her, but he threw his dinner plate against the wall, leaving speck he saw dripping like blood. He called her ungrateful and financially reckless. Mom apologized rapidly, returned the dress to the next day, and never shopped alone again. By the time I started high school, I had developed strategies to minimize contact. I joined every club and spent weekends at 4 friends' houses. My relationship with Mom deteriorated. I resented her for choosing him over our once close relationship. When I tried to talk to her about his controlling behavior, she dismissed my concerns. "You don't understand adult relationship," she would say. "Marcus takes care of us. We're lucky to have him." In my junior year, I walked in on my own mom covering up bruise on her cheek with makeup. She claimed she had walked into a door, but her eyes couldn't meet mine. That was the moment I knew with certainty that Marcus had progressed to physical abuse. I begged her to leave, but she refused, insisting it was just a one-time mistake. At 16, I felt powerless. The next 2 years were a careful dance of evidence and planning. I maintained perfect grades, knowing education was my ticket out. I applied for every scholarship available and worked part-time to save my money. When my acceptance letter from Boston University arrived with a substantial scholarship, I felt like I could finally breathe. My first semester at college was like emerging from a dark cave into sunlight. I made friends who know nothing about my home life and declared psychology as my major, driven by a need to understand what had happened to my family. Professor Ananya Sharma, a specialist in trauma, became my mentor. She offered understanding and practical advice, encouraging me to seek therapy. "The patterns we grow up with shape us," she explained, "but they don't have to define us." During my junior year, I met Leo in my abnormal psychology class. He was patient and perceptive and gradually I told him about my family. Your mom needs help, he said after hearing her story. But so do you. Having a parent in a abusive relationship affects you too, even from a distance. With his encouragement, I started seeing a therapist who helped me work through my complicated feeling of love, anger, and guilt regarding my mother. Slowly, I began to understand that I couldn't save Mom if he was not ready to leave, but I could build my own healthy life. After graduation, I settled in a one-bedroom apartment in Swearwhite. My job at the Riverside Community Mental Health Center was entry-level, assisting licensed therapist. 6 months into my new life, Leo messaged me. He was moving back to Boston. Our reunion coffee turned into regular dates, and we slipped back into our relationship with surprising ease. One evening, during a video call with Mom, I noticed a yellowish brows fading around her right eye. When I asked about it, she nervously claimed she had tripped. Her eyes darting around, I began calling her more frequently and researched domestic violence shelters in her area. 3 months before my 25th birthday, my mom called while I was having dinner with Leo. Her voice was shaking. He found the brochure. She whispered, crying. The one you mailed me. He says I am ungrateful. He broke my phone. My heart raced. Mom, listen to me. Pack a small bag. I will call you and over to the bus station. You can come stay with me. She protested weakly, and a long pause followed. Maybe you are right, she finally said. Let me think about it. I will call you back tomorrow. My heart sank the next day when she called back, her voice unnaturally bright. Everything is fine now, she said. Marcus and I had a good talk. We are going to start marriage counseling. The call ended with Marco's smooth, controlled voice coming through the speaker. Perhaps you should focus on your own life, Stella. Family is secured. Frustrated, I connected the local police, but they explained there was little they could do without her direct testimony. My 25th birthday fell on a Friday. At 12:17 a.m., pounding on my door jolted me awake. Open this door, Stella. Marcus' voice was slurred, but unmistakable. I crept to the door and looked through the peephole. His face was flushed with anger. Behind him stood my mother, her expression a mask of terror. I told him to go away, and he snapped. He lunged his body against the door, splintering the wood. With 2 powerful kicks, it gave way, and he stumbled into my apartment with murderous rage in his eyes. I backed away, fumbling for my phone to call 911. He lunged forward, knocking the phone from my hand and grabbed my hair before I could react. His fist connected with my cheekbone. Mom, help me, I screamed, making eye contact with her over his shoulder. He stood frozen in the doorway, hands covering her mouth, her body immobile. Marcus grabbed my right arm, twisted it behind my back with savage force. There was a sickening pop as my shoulder dislocated, and I screamed. This is what happens when you try to destroy a family. He hissed. He slammed me against the wall again, and I felt something crack in my rib cage as he punched me. Another blow to my temple sent me sprawling to the floor. Through swelling eyes, I saw my phone just inches from my outstretched far left hand. With the last of my strength, I lunged for it, my finger finding the emergency SOS button. 3 quick presses sent my location to emergency service. Marcus' foot connected with my rib again, and I curled into a protective ball. The last thing I remember before darkness claimed me as my mother's face, tears streaming down her cheeks as sirens wailed in the distance. I woke up in a hospital bed with Leo holding my hand. He had received my partial text and called the police himself. They had found Marcus still ragging and arrested him at the scene. My mother was in the waiting room, afraid to come in. She eventually approached my bed, her face pale. "I am so sorry, Stella," she whispered, her voice breaking. She confessed that Marcus had threatened to kill me if she ever left him. "I stayed to protect you, but in the end I failed anyway." I held her hand. My colleague, Louis, arrived that afternoon and connected us with attorney Laura Bell, a lawyer specializing in domestic violence. Laura visited me the next day. "Marcus has been denied bail. We have a strong case with your testimony, your mother's, and the physical evidence." 3 months after the attack, I stood outside the courthouse with Leo, my shoulders still aching. Inside, Marcus sat at the defense table, impeccably dressed. When called to testify, I walked to the witness stand with deliberate calm. For nearly 2 hours, I answered questions describing the escalating control and the events of that night. Marcus Slayer tried to discredit me, but I refused to be baited into anger. My mother's testimony was both heartbreaking and powerful as she described 12 years of abuse. The medical evidence was presented, and the recording from my emergency call played my screams and his threats. The jury deliberated for just 2 hours before returning with a verdict of guilty on all charges. 2 weeks later, the judge sentenced Marcus to 15 years instead prison as they led him away. I felt a weight lift. For the first time since I was 12, I could breathe freely without fear. 2 years after the trial, I stood before a small audience in a women's shelter. My physical scars had faded, so my right shoulder still ached in cool weather. I had founded the Breakthrough Center with my master's degree in trauma psychology, a center dedicated to helping domestic violence survivors build their lives. My mother sat in the front row, cried, evident in her smile. She had lived with me for 6 months after the trial, attending therapy and gradually finding her voice and identity again. She now had her own apartment and worked part-time at a local bookstore. Leo sat beside her, the diamond on my left hand catching the light. Our engagement was recent, a step we had taken only after much thought and scenes. The greatest myth about abuse, I told the audience, is that it only happens to certain types of people. The truth is that abuse can happen to anyone. My stepfather took many things from me and my mother, but he failed to take what matters most: our capacity to heal, to love, and to build something new from the wreckage. What happened that night 7 years ago will always be part of my story. But it is no longer the defining chapter. It is simply one part of a much larger narrative about resilience, compassion, and the transformative power of breaking silence. Join Stella's mission to help survivors heal. Share your story, donate. All volunteer. Together we can build a world where silence is broken and hope thrives. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new here for more stories of resilience.